Hey everybody, Mike Steele here with BBQ Champs Academy Live. I didn't hit the countdown button, so here we go. We're ready to rock and roll. Got a great show lined up for you tonight. We're going to be talking about all things scoring with the different organizations and things. We like to hear what everybody has to say about this, your likes, your dislikes, what's your favorite about each organization's scoring system. I think there's a lot of people that always talk about this. Seem to go to a lot of competitions, and we're always hearing about that, and people's asking me questions, what do you think, this, that. I've got my opinion on which ones I like best. Everybody's got opinions that they like. And I thought, this would be a really great topic. Lee has been talking to me a little bit about different scoring options and stuff and trying to get some feedback from me. And then I'm giving him feedback from a lot of the people that I have been talking to over the last couple years as well. We've got a lot of new organizations out there, and thought it would really be cool to put all that stuff together and let our listeners actually give some feedback to this as well. So we want this to be kind of a roundtable discussion where y'all have got some feedback into this as well. Got quite a few folks coming on here. Justin, thank you for being here. Renee, Travis, thank you for joining us. This show is exactly what I need. Yep. Chris, thank you for joining us. John, we appreciate you being here. Danny, thank you for being with us. Danny, how did you do this weekend? You know how I did this weekend. You was there. I had a first place rib, an 11th place brisket, and finished 5th or 6th overall. So we made it into the top 10. I'm not going to go too far into like we normally do. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm just going to give everybody a few minutes to come in, and then we're going to get started. Jason, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on yet another grand champion down in Marksville this past weekend. We had a great time down there. It is a fun competition. And Jason got another grand champion down there. The Pit Father Barbecue. Thank you, brother. Eddie, thank you for joining us. Did you warn Phil this is a family show? No, we did not. I don't have the filter on, but I think we're going to be all right because he had to go to one of his daughters' singing. I think they had some kind of choir or something. So he's going to be about 10, 15 minutes late. So should have Philip in pretty good shape. By the time we send him over to Chicken Fried, he may be wound up just a little bit. James, thank you for joining us tonight. Alan, thank you for joining us from Wichita. Appreciate it. Charles, glad to have you last weekend. Mr. Josh Michelli, we missed you last weekend or this past weekend. Wish you could have been here. Hey, James, how are you doing? Glad to have you with us. Doodle Q, thank you for being with us. Got the Rib Cook-Off Association with us. Thank you for joining us. And Jason, that chicken recipe, man, he's been killing chicken, that's for sure. We got Miss Erica in the house. Emmeline, thank you for joining us. Got War Pig on as well. He's back there in the waiting room. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. And what y'all drinking tonight? Now, I'm sipping on water with some sweet tea additive in it. So, Nick, thank you for being with us. And Damon Blue, thank you for joining us. Good to see you and Rachel this past weekend. Had a great time with all of our barbecue family down in South Louisiana or in Central Louisiana. Kevin, thank you for joining us. We got Miss Terry on. Oh, that's awful. 2 shows in a row. Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how he works out for that. So I'm drinking beer with a shot of Jack and tequila. So everybody's already got their favorite drink going. All right, we got a few folks steadily coming in. Like I said, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. Our show may go over a little bit longer tonight because we want to get a lot of questions asked. I'm going to kind of moderate this in a little bit different way. I want to hear from our guests. I want to hear from our listeners too. So I'm going to kind of direct this, and the format I'm going to use is bring in several questions that I've got, maybe 4 or 5 at most, and kind of get feedback from everyone. And I think this would be kind of interesting to see how it goes. Mike Bryce, thank you for joining us. AJ, appreciate you being here. Jamie, come on with us to cook in Michigan in a couple weeks. Nope, too far. And Carlos. Carlos is going to be joining us a little bit later. Carlos, I did send you the link. Make sure that you've got it. Phil Breeden's only going to be able to stay on from about 7:15 when he's thinking he's going to get here to about 7:45. Then he's got to go to Chicken Fried. And then when he goes, we're going to bring in Carlos as well. So, Amy, thank you for being here. And I hope everybody's going to stick around. I want to hear some questions. I want to hear some answers, everything that you guys and gals have got. And we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off. We got 57,000 folks on here, so let's get started. First up, we're going to bring in my good buddy, Mr. Lee Hickle. Hey, brother, how you doing?
What's up, Mike?
Man, I'm
Good
doing
evening.
good, doing good. You know, I'm proud of you for being able to make world food. You know, 1 point keeping y'all from going to the finals. So congratulations with that. I know y'all had a great time, and thank you for going in there with Team Air Force and helping those guys to get into that deal. So glad to have
Yeah,
you on
you
tonight.
bet.
Glad to
Thank
have
you.
you on. Next up, we're gonna bring in Dennis Butterworth. Hey, brother, how are you doing? Up, he's getting that mic turned on.
Well, yeah, and I had to
There
swallow
we
my
go.
dinner. Sorry. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Doing good, Butter. You doing all right, man?
I'm doing all right. Just
That's
trying
good.
to keep up with some comments for the first time ever.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, we appreciate you being here. And next up, we got Mr. James Dotson with Limp Brisket. Hello, Mr. Man, I don't know what the heck he's doing. Yeah, I think he outnumbered us on the cup. I had a pretty big one. I see
Sorry
Butter's got
about
a pretty
that.
big one, but man, I don't have one that big. How you doing, James?
I am doing well. Good evening,
Okay.
everyone.
Okay. So, are you going to be our Phil till Phil gets here? So,
Well, Erica said since Phil wasn't here, she brought me the tequila and the Jack, and she told me to catch up.
I got you. All right, we got Lee Pop back on. He had to go get a bigger cup apparently. So,
The
oh
Stanley,
goodness
baby. Yeah.
gracious. All right, well we got quite a few folks on here. We appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to start throwing some questions out there to our guest. I'm going to kind of throw the question out there, let them kind of answer, and then I'm going to kind of follow up with what they say, pick up on some of the things that they say. I'm going to give my likes and dislikes on it as well, and my kind of feedback from what I have seen as well, and feedback that I get from my wife, who works as a table captain in BCA. She's been doing almost all the BCAs that we go to, and there's some things that she's kind of telling me I think is very interesting, and some things that she does to try to help make everything more fair and balanced for the cooks. So, first question up. We're just going to go around the horn. Lee, I'm going to throw this one at you. A lot of people I've heard talk about seat position, where judges go. And this is basically to break up teams coming in. And I know we've probably all seen it, especially when promoters don't have enough judges in the area. They have to go out there in the field and they're dragging in teams. And I have seen it time and time again. It's an uncomfortable feeling. And I've even seen a lot of times 2 or 3 team members will go and they'll sit at the same table. And to me, I think that's a very disadvantage to the cooks that are out there. Reason is if they were to lowball good food and give good scores to the worst food, or maybe their buddy's food went across the table and they could identify it. Sometimes that's kind of hard to do. So I don't know. I think that there could be something like a chip draw. We see that a lot with KCBS. Lee, I want to hear what you have to say. What do you think would be the advantage of having some type of deal to where assigned
You
seating is
bet.
done, or do you think that's important?
You bet. I want to thank Mike, Dennis, James for being on here tonight. This is a good, fun roundtable discussion, and this is a good one to start off with. So I appreciate even all the viewers. I cannot see the comments. I'm on my cell phone, so if any comments come across, Mike, if you can let
Yeah.
me know what they say, good or bad or different.
Yep. Yep.
But look, I'm guilty as charged, like a lot of cooks are. I look at a cook off that may be nearby or not, and I may or may not call the promoter and let them know, hey, I'm going to show up. So I've been to a lot of cook offs where I don't call until on that. I just show up on a Friday, I sign in and I pay my cash and I go to my spot. Well, really, that's a disadvantage for the promoter. I'm learning this now as the longer I've cooked, that the promoters really need to know who's going to show up. That way they can headhunt and go get the taste judges from the community. Not like KCBS where they have a portal where the judges can log on and they register. And so that those promoters know who's going to be judging their food. Of course, in Texas barbecue, we don't have that. It's the promoter's diligence to find the judges to eat our food. And I mean, I cooked Victoria Livestock Show and Rodeo, and they're used to about 45, 50 teams coming up. Well, that cook off, they had 72 teams show up. So the promoter, I mean, that's hard for the promoter to find taste judges for all those meats. So, man, she's doing the best she can. I felt bad that she's having to go out and solicit cooks from the camps. But, you know, with us as cooks, we need to let the promoters know, hey, we're going to come. So, and Rose Samala, man, she did her the best. There was nothing wrong with the judging, the seating on that. It's just sometimes you may have teams that get to sit at the same table, especially if they come in at different times. If they come in as a group, maybe the judging, they can separate the teams when they come in, but sometimes it's a lot. So um, I know in KCBS the chip draw is like a death sentence, but in Texas barbecue we just have the normal person coming off the street, Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, VFW, junior college. So they're there just to eat barbecue for free. And I think instead of the table judges, the head judges trying to separate, you go there, you go table two, you go seat three, maybe when the taste judges come in, they can reach into a bag and the chip is going to say table one, seat three. So we can maybe reduce the probability of maybe teams sitting side by side. Um, I don't think it's going to be a lot of cost if this does go through to do the chip draw for the seating. But I think it's a way to, I think I could be wrong, maybe help the judge not have to pick where they're going to go. Maybe it can just give them one less thing to do. Just have the judge reach in the bag and there's your seat and there's your table.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's important. You know, I remember at a competition, and Suzette was one of the table judges there. And it was a BCA competition, and it was a whole family that came. It was a mom, a dad, and a son. You know, and they were all wanting to sit down at a table and sit together. And you know, Dad, it was good barbecue, and they're talking. They're not supposed to talk, and she's seen it, recognized it, and she split them up. You know, and I applaud her for doing that. She's looking out for the judges or for the cooks. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great idea. So I said at first that it could be teams, but it could be a whole family come in, you know, and you've got mom and dad and son and, you know, they're all they get to talking like, it's good barbecue. Well, that can influence somebody sitting next to you. And I think that's where it would help to break that up. So I think you're right, Lee. I kind of agree with that. I think it's kind of a good idea. Butter, we'll throw it at you, man. What do you think on that?
Yeah, so I think it's a great idea to always break it up. We've seen it a lot, depending on where you go. I've seen whole family members' wives, right, all sit in the judging room with the shirts on at the same table as a cook, and it's very discouraging to see that when you turn it in your box, you know, right. And you just feel like, man, they've been sitting over there seeing what their guys are making, and you know, people always say this all the time, like, oh well, it's a long shot that, you know, they would get their husband's box on their table, but that's not how you do it, right? You right. Tell them anything that doesn't look like this, you score it low. That's how you do it. Right. So you can one judge can single-handedly just tank the whole thing, right? So yep. Two judges, three, and if you're in a scoring system that drops the lowest score and you've got three judges sitting on a table that can do that, it's really bad. So I think anything that we can do to help mitigate that and eliminate that out of our system and process, I think is very beneficial to the cook and very beneficial to the head judge. And Fred will know this. I mean, very beneficial to the president not have to field phone calls right. about cooks bitching the next right. day and the day after that. So I know CBA, I believe it's been a while, but I believe because I judged, they automatically randomly assign you tables to go sit at. And that's very smart, built into their system. So yeah. I think the rest of us ought to look at doing something just as simple as the chip draw. It's cheap. You know, it's a bunch of poker chips with numbers on them and some Crown Royal sacks, right? It's two sacks, one for the table, and this one tells you to go what seat you're going to sit at, and then it's over.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Now I'm going to bring in Kiki. This is Kisa. We call her Kiki. She's a head judge for Outlaw, and she's been a head judge since I've been cooking. And we love Kiki, and she's put on here 5 old ladies that eat together weekly, and she's probably seen that a dozen times or so, I'm sure. I think that's something that's kind of important. So, you know, like I said, it's sometimes not just team members. Sometimes it can be a family of people or a whole bunch of friends. Suzette did something this weekend, and I want to just throw this out there, and then, James, we're going to go to you. She had a group of people that came in, and it was all men on one table. and she was like, okay, I want to kind of mix this up where you've got more of a diverse crowd. So she pulled two people that she had for the final table and put a couple ladies over and moved them over to kind of mix it up where it was kind of equal numbers of men and women. And I thought that was pretty good, for the cooks. So, men are going to judge something a little bit different than women. And I think y'all ought to have some type of flexibility that, okay, once everybody gets on it, if you see that it's mostly men or mostly women, I think the head judge should have the opportunity. Let's just kind of mix things up a little bit. Hopefully, you can kind of mix people up that's not teams or family members. What do y'all think about something like that being added to it?
Well, I mean, I'll take it. Yeah, anything we can do to help separate and just shake up the judging, right? To make it more as random as possible. And at the end of the day, we're responsible to our members as boards. That's who pays the dues and helps us carry on as a board. So at the end of the day, if we can look at our members and say we've done all we can do, right, to make this the most random, fair process, then I think we'll be okay.
Okay. All right. Hey, we got Phil Breeden in. Thank you, brother. Glad you do it. He's in the car driving down the road. So, hey, Phil, how you doing? You there, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Hold on.
Yeah, we're doing good. Don't worry. Get everything set up. I'm going to throw this question over to James, and we'll ask you real quick, Phil. All right, James, what do you think about that? Have you seen something like that happen before?
Yeah, I mean, I remember one time, Eric and I went and cooked at a smaller cook-off, and it was like at a VFW. Erica cooked and I cooked, and Erica had better food than me, which is usually what happens when she cooks. That's why I brought her on my team. But Erica finished, there were 16 teams, and Erica finished 16th, 16th, and 16th in all three meets. So then we saw pictures the next day, and the two guys that we recruited from the local VFW to cook, all the judges were surrounding them as they were cutting and turning in their meat. So I always look at it, if we go to cook-off and they struggle to find judges, that's one of the big things that Eric and I will say, we're not going to go back to that cook-off. Anything that we can do to separate those judges from the table, I think will be a benefit to the cooks, right?
Right.
At the same time, I understand the promoters are trying to find head judges. And I think if you separate 3 or 4 people from the same team that are wearing the team shirts, like what Dennis said, I walk in and I see that, I'm like, oh, please don't let me get on that table, right? Because
right.
Like Dennis said, they're not going to be able to track their buddy's box, but their buddies will say, hey, if there's anything, that's really good that you like, tastes good, score it low.
Right.
So, I mean, I think anything we can do to help the cooks diversify the judging, put them in different sections or whatever to separate them, I'm all for it.
Okay, sounds great. All right, Phil, I'm going to throw the question to you. We're talking about, this is our first question, seat position, kind of where you got either a team coming in, you have 2 or 3 team members hitting a table together, or you got mom, you got dad, you got son showing up. They're all sitting there and dad's like, yeah, there's good barbecue. And, they ain't supposed to be talking, and he influences his family. So we're talking about maybe perhaps a chip draw, assigned seating, something like that, just to split people up. What do you think about that?
Man, it's a no-brainer. I mean, as a cook, I don't think there's anybody that would say, yeah, I like loaded tables. Normally it just doesn't work out good, or it leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth, even if nothing happens. So, man, it should be random. Whether it's a chip draw or, whatever that process is, and I think the majority of the cooks are going to go, man, I feel a little bit better about it if it's random, right?
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we've all kind of been in agreement with that, and I was kind of giving the example just a minute ago.
Is there an argument for anything else?
No, I mean, that's just the first thing we've talked about. Just, just wanting to hear what people have to say. I mean, I think we all agree that nobody wants to get beat by a team group that's coming in, or a family that comes in, or like Kiki said, 5 old ladies that all eat together and they come in and, they could kill you. So I was kind of giving the example that Suzette saw like all men on a table, And she's like, yeah, I want to mix this up. So she pulled two people off the final table that were women and just kind of mixed it up where you had more diversity amongst those that are judging. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, you got a judge that's looking out for all the cooks. Let's make it where it's going to be fair for everybody. So Jen says, I do that. No back-to-back judging, no husband, wife on the same table, all different judges for the final table. Yeah, I think that's great. So, but that's basically it. Go ahead.
And I think in an ideal world, I'll expand upon that. But in an ideal world, there won't be anybody judging from a team or any family members from a team that's competing in an ideal world. I get it. Sometimes they're short on judges, but I can tell you this: the first year I cooked, twice my mom judged, and the second time she told me, man, I'm never judging again, because every box I opened, all I could think is, man, I wonder if this is Phil. So it's inherent in a human being, if they have any knowledge, you just can't block that out. And she goes, man, I don't having any even thoughts like that, right? So, man, there's very few people that can turn that off and really go judge totally unbiased just because, right? So I think in an ideal world, you've got a promoter that's bringing in, whatever that judging pool is. And man, I like to see a diverse judging pool, not, man, we're going to bring in, 100 people from the, Army base, because I think that gives one kind of mindset as far as the judging. And to me, it seems like results kind of, work out a little bit better whenever it's just totally random people that go judge.
More diversity. I agree with you on that. Carlos said, I would like to see the head judge not let someone judge back-to-back meats. After a while, they are full, and then the food tastes funny, and then they get full. They don't even want to eat, and at that point, you don't know what kind of score they're giving. So I sometimes wonder about that. So
that works in a perfect world, but there's plenty of cook-offs where we can't find cooks or judges.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And the good promoters always find them for some reason. I get it, but some promoters are better at it than others. Is what it is.
Yeah, they are. I'll see the ladies never.
I mean, the cook-off's on the books for months typically, so you've got several months to figure out. You're going to need judges.
Get them.
And man, I don't know any cook that gets fired up when they come around going, "Hey, is there anybody from your team that can cook?" Man, the little mumbling and the grumbling going on the cook-off is they ain't got judges. They're getting teams to do it, and everybody's kind of down in the dumps going, "Well, shit, it's going to be a shit show." And that's just honesty. That's what I hear, right? When I'm at a cook-off and that happens, man, I don't hear anybody going, yes, they're getting teams to judge.
Yes, for sure. Well, you're right. Kiki said the ladies never returned after I got through moving them around. That's it. You break them up once, they won't come back. So, Jason, she definitely.
Well, and to Phil's point, Justin West in Decatur, like, part of your sponsorship was you could be part of the final table of ribs and chicken and brisket. So, that was kind of cool to me, that your sponsorship dollars that you donated would get you a seat at a final table of brisket. Like, some of them took it, some of them didn't. But, and again, I said this earlier before the call, Phil, you weren't on it. You were at your daughter's choir concert, but
yeah, they sang a duet and they crushed it.
That's awesome. That's all that, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, right? But
right
on.
And Butter was like, "Hey man, we have 300 plus sanctioned events in Texas, right? So we have all these sanctioned events, and to me, it's every body, IBCA, CBA, Lone Star, Outlaw. Helping these promoters understand, like, hey, here's how you get judges. Here's what you can do. This weekend I cooked a CBA in Weatherford, and I felt sorry for the judges because there was rain coming in sideways, hitting the judges as they're eating our food. But they had different judges for each thing. So the whole town came out and supported it. So to Phil's point, it's, again, it's a promoter that has to do it, but man, if we can help them understand it better of, hey, here's how you can get more judges, here's how you can have people sign up, I think it's just going to benefit every sanctioning body, right?
Right, 100%. Yeah, we got a lot of good questions coming in. Here, how about a team that has a family member as a head judge? Yeah, I don't really think that's too cool, but
I'm okay with that. Look,
it's
well,
fine.
I'm okay with that because we're all cooks day
Right,
one, right?
Yeah.
We're
right.
cooks.
We're cooks, and
So
you can't keep up with
absolutely.
that box. You
No,
can't keep
look,
up with that box. They get mixed around too
Well,
much.
you either trust the system or you don't. That's what it boils
Right?
down to.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would
Right.
never
There you go.
condemn. I would never condemn that
No,
ever. You can't do that.
I wouldn't, because them boxes, they get mixed around. I've seen them when they come in. Man, they're mixing them boxes everywhere. You've not lost that box. You don't know where it's at. All right, so we've got a lot of people that's thrown in questions. I've put a few of them up. As we're doing this, I want to go on because we don't have Phil, but probably for another. Phil, can you stay to 7:45?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Okay,
fine.
okay. So we got about
We,
another
we
20
got a
minutes.
solid 20 minutes to chop it up.
Okay, good deal. All right, so I want to move over to the next one, and this is one that a lot of people have really talked about, and that's the competitions that advance. If you have 2 rounds of competition, you take the top or equal number of boxes off of each table and you advance them. I think a lot of people, and I know I am definitely one of them, I'm in that category where I don't want to go to a competition and get beat by a low scoring table or a deaf table, whatever you want to call it. And I want to get beat by a cook. I don't want to get beat by a group of judges that scored lower on table B than they did on table A. And I think we've all been caught into that several times on the tables that score like that. They just take the highest scores and go, as opposed to those that just say, okay, we're going to take the highest scores and go, and we're going to reset the scores and go again. It's true tournament style competition. And to me, that's what everything's based off of. You look at your NCAA tournaments, it's tournament style. They continue to go, they continue to go. I do not want to play the roulette wheel where I go in and I'm getting beat by a deaf table. I want to get beat by if I'm on a table of 15 and they take 5 off of it and I didn't make it, man, I'm going to congratulate those guys because they didn't like my food, but I got beat by 5 cooks. I didn't get beat by being first or second on a table, and I didn't even make the show. So Phil, I know that we started first with everybody else. I'm going to start with you. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. So first off, I guess we're talking Lone Star has a final table, Outlaw has a final table, I guess, and then IBCA. So we're talking basically about those 3 sanctioning bodies, correct?
Yeah. Outlaw, BCA, Lone Star,
Does
IBCA.
anybody know? I don't know how Lone Star out or how Outlaw does it, so I'm not sure if they do it by table or do it by I'm not sure.
No,
They
no.
take equal number.
Outlaw and Lone Star. Yeah, Outlaw and Lone Star both. It's the equal number of boxes off each table.
Okay, and IBCA just takes the highest scores no matter what the table is, correct?
No matter what the table.
That's right.
Correct.
It's cumulative.
Yeah.
Highest cumulative score advances.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough break. I mean, so.
You there, Phil?
Phil needs a drink.
It kind of depends on how you.
Okay, there we go. We got you now.
It could work out your way.
Uh-oh, Phil, we're losing you, brother. Hold on. Phil, we lost your audio.
You're still connected to your truck.
Yeah,
I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, he's connected. He's connected. Phil. Woo!
Phil.
You're
Hey.
No,
Phil. We don't know what he's saying. Oh, my goodness.
Well, we'll give him another minute. He'll be.
Phil, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Phil. We can't hear you. He's not even looking at his phone. We can't.
Phil, we can't hear you.
He'll come back.
Oh, he dropped off.
He'll probably connect to his Wi-Fi. So real quick, I do want to go over some of the things he said. So Outlaw takes a certain number of boxes off each table. Lone Star does. BCA will try to take equal number of boxes off of each table. And sometimes Indy is pretty good. Like you may have 7 boxes that comes off this table and he's got 7 boxes over here. But he may have somebody that's in the 7th spot that has a 40 and a 40, and he'll go, I'm going to take both of those boxes. It's not definitely a set number. Instead of 14 or 15, if he's got 2 scores that are the same, then he's going to take both of those and not just Nixonate one. And I think that's pretty fair, you know. And then that way you're advancing boxes, kind of equal scores off of that table and off of this table. When I say equal scores, that person that's in that last spot. So, and those go. I don't know if Outlaw does even numbers or if they kind of do the same thing as well. I know sometimes you may have a few more boxes than others. And real quick until Phil gets back, I think Butter, you said it. You take not equal numbers, the highest cumulative scores. Is that correct?
We take the top boxes from round 1 to round 2, the top
So
15.
The top 15. Okay, top 15. All right, I think we got Carlos. Carlos, we're gonna wait for Phil here just a second,
Oh,
and I'll have you back here in just a minute, brother.
all right.
So we're waiting on Phil. Well, in the meantime, till Phil gets connected back up, Lee, I'm going to throw that over to you.
Yeah. So currently IBCA, like Dennis said, everything is accumulative. They take the highest scores, no matter what table it came off of. So I don't think that's how it should be. That's my opinion as a cook. It's not fair to me. Let's just say you have 3 tables and there's 15 going to go to the final table. And so that would be, in my opinion, 5 trays off each table. But if table 1 has 12 people and table 2 judges, I'm sorry, if table 1 has 13 trays to go through to get judged, table 2 has 12. Well, they may draw all 12 trays off of one table and then 3 off of table 2. And table 3, if you had first place chicken, you'd never advance because your first place chicken is lower than the 15th place from table 1 and table 2. And that's not equally fair because, man, I got a lot of money invested in it. I think they should take even number of boxes from all the tables.
Yeah.
So I'm against taking the highest boxes off of one table, 2 tables. It should be equally all the way across.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Phil.
I know too many cook-offs where they have taken all the trays off of one table and 2 off of another. It's happened here this past weekend. Even our Region 3 director, Michael Gibson, in Orange Grove, Texas, apparently there was 2 tables of deaths. There's only 3 meats. When you have 2 tables of deaths on 2 separate meats, man, that's hurting. You know, that's not good for the organization. Now, this is my opinion, right?
Right.
So, I think we need to figure out how we can advance even number of boxes from all tables and let the scoring system, the computer guru, calculate how to figure that out on the programming side on how to make it work for the best score.
Right. Yeah. There's got to be a way that once you advance them over, you can reset the scores. Maybe you give them an added bonus where the 15th spot's automatically after the second round is going to be higher than whatever the 16th spot was. All right, Phil, we're going to throw that back to you. I know we kind of lost you really from the whole time. So I think when you got out of the truck, you were still connected to the truck and we couldn't hear you. So let's just start over with you, Phil, and just kind of go from the beginning there.
Man, I'm going to sound like a parakeet. I agree with what Lee said. If I've got to pick between those, those 2 choices, man, I'd assume to, take half off of each table. That way you're just scored fairly amongst your peers on that table, right?
Right.
It seems to me that a lot of times, like what'd you say, 12 boxes go from one table and none from the other. And then, man, those are all going to go get bonus points, right? So not only were you on that table, but man, you're going to be an extra 10 points down, out of the gates. And we've only gone through just assumedly chicken, and man, you're 30 or 40 points off the game, and basically the contest is over.
Yeah. It makes sense on something like that. James, what do you, and you're kind of in the same boat with me and Lee. I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I've been to a couple that I've done that. I've finished like first or second on the table. Man, like a whole bunch of boxes went off one table, a couple went off the other. My table didn't get nothing, and it's just discouraging because you can't tell me, and I've heard in the past that all the good food went forward. man, everybody cooks pretty dadgum good barbecue right now. Things have changed a lot
Yeah.
in the last 5 years, or the last 4 years for sure, with barbecue champ classes, with all the other cooks classes.
That's because of Phil Breeden has all these classes that people are
Yeah.
kicking butt with,
I
baby.
mean, yeah,
Man,
so-
those damn classes.
the damn
I've
classes.
said it once, I've said it a million times, those damn classes.
Yeah,
I mean, between Phil Braden's classes and Bill Purvis and the Barbecue Champs Academy, what's it coming to?
it's
Yeah, you don't even just show up.
it's made it harder.
Buy you a $35,000 rig and just show up and you can
That's
win,
it.
right? But I mean, here's the thing. Like,
What about you,
You know-
James? Let's. I know you kind of told me a little bit of story in Fort Worth, so let's talk a little bit about that.
yeah. So no, but here's the thing. It's kind of like you can't be greedy, right? So we had a first place brisket. We were first in the first round, first in the second round. Ribs, we were second in the first round, and first in the second round, right? So we had a 1-2. So I mean, I can't complain. The judges liked that. I walked away with a lot of money, but on chicken on table 11, you know, Erica's been on fire with chicken, and it's like, hey, table A. The only way you're getting in the top 10 is being on table A. You know, they advanced everybody. Like Erica either won her table or finished second, but it was like she had a 164, and the person that I think beat her, because I re-looked at it today, was 164-1-2. So we're done. Like it's you're over. And the GC came down to the GC and RGC were both on table A. And I'm not saying that because you know what? Sometimes you have a chicken or whatever. We again, the old way of doing things in Texas where the equal number of boxes came off every table. So if you're going to do multiple rounds, I'm all for that. If you're going to do it to where you pick everything from one table, then why not drop the lowest score, right? Like CBA, they dropped the lowest score. So you can take risk. Like an Outlaw, I cook a different profile than I do at CBA. Because CBA, I'm trying to hit a home run, right? Like CBA, I'm like, hey, I might go a little bit more spicy because I know that one judge's score will drop, right? So it's to me, I like the equal number of boxes coming off each table if you're going to do multiple rounds. And I think the scoring should start over, like however you could do that. And a long time ago when they talked about the scoring changes, you know, my fix was, hey, if you have 50 cooks and you take 15 to final table and, you know, you score whatever, if you have multiple scoring, then, you know, if you're 45th place or you're the last place cook, you get 1 point, right? And it works up all the way until if you finish first in the second round, everybody going in the second round, they have the equal number of points, right? They start off with, if you take 15 out of that, you have 35 cooks. If you're 15th, you get 36 points, and all the way up to where if you're first, you're 50. So, I mean, there's ways that you can do it, but a lot of it is how do you calculate it, the math behind it. Like everybody wants a different way of doing things. There's no perfect way of judging barbecue. And to me, whatever sanctioning body you sign up for, then I mean, you know the rules before you go in there. So it's kind of like one of those things where, hey, I paid my money, I'm going to shoot my shot, and whatever happens, happens.
Right. Yeah, Jim Fly said, I cooked a month ago that had 4 tables, table A and table B, 0 boxes advanced. Table C had 9 and table D had 6. Obviously, he needs to figure it out. Butter, you know, I'm going to throw that to you. Here's somebody that's cooked in IBCA. We've heard several. I mean, what do you think, Dennis? I mean,
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on this? So,
Well, first and foremost, I mean, you should probably strap in here. So, table of death sometimes is just the worst boxes in the damn round, and you people have to accept that. And sometimes the table of angels is the best damn boxes in the round, and you need to accept that. So yes, there's always going to be tables that don't make it through. Single round systems have it, right? KCBS, CBA,
Right.
they have tables of death. The other scoring systems that
Not when you're 40 points behind, though, Butter.
Okay, I'll let
You're
everybody
40 points
talk. I
behind.
didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. All the other scoring systems that don't give you this kind of data from round to round, they all have them, but you have no idea because they don't give you that data, right? So it's all there. Now, in a cumulative-based scoring system, we take the best boxes, the best scores to the second round. In our system, we take 15, we give bonus points to the top 10 that come out of that round. They get applied to your first round score. So if you scored a 160 in the first round, you get first place in the final table. You end up with a 170 overall. If you take the top boxes from every table, you're going to have somebody with a 140 come out of the first round, win final table ribs, end up with a 150. And then you're going to have somebody that didn't make final table sitting there with a 160, 170, or 180. How are you going to do that? Do y'all want to be president and answer these damn phone calls from the cooks and try to explain to the 100? Again, I let everybody talk. Let 180 points. I had a 180 point score in the first round, but I didn't make it through because we have to give participation trophies to these other boxes on the tables just so that they feel better about themselves. Absolutely not. No, it's the best of the best. You take the best scores and you move on to the second round. If you don't like it, then submit a bylaw rule change for a single round system, but you're still going to have tables of death no matter what you do. The math don't math when you have a scoring system and you're trying to move boxes to the second round and you're taking lower scores than the top boxes because you're not going to have the top scores finish 1 through 10. It's been proposed that, well, what if we just give 50, 60 points in the final round to boost that low score up above everybody? What does that mean? That means unless you place in the final table of a category, you cannot end up in the top 10 overall. There's no way you can you can fill the gap of 50 points, 60 points of bonus points, right? That the bonus points is the dumbest thing ever. I wish we could do away with that. We just can't figure out a way to do it unless we go single round in IBCA, and that would take a member vote. So, and a member to submit it. Now, sometimes, and we get this also about dropping the lowest score, right? And I love cooking organizations drop the lowest score. What happens when you get 2 bad scores? You drop low and you still got a shitty score sitting there, still tanking you. So you can shoot your shot out, but sometimes there's 2 shitty judges on there, right? That just don't like your barbecue. And at the end of the day, we're not a track meet. We're not a NBA playoff round, right? You are cooking against the judges. You're not cooking against other teams. It's what the judge wants, what the judge likes. It's not what the other team did against you. So you're not saying, yeah, the better team really beat me. It's just I just didn't make good barbecue that day, or the judges didn't like what I gave them. So that's what I mean. You cannot get participation points and just move everybody into the second round. You might as well just do away with the first round. So how do we eliminate it? Education.
Well, and go ahead.
We got to be better about educating our taste judges.
Go ahead.
No, but job of training and certifying their judges, right? And they put their judges through some tests and some certification process. Not the greatest, but at least it's something. It gives them an education on what they should be looking for, right? And what competition barbecue is, and that's what we can all do as organizations is work on systems that can better educate our taste judges so that they know going in, hey, this is not backyard barbecue. This is not Bill Miller barbecue or Rudy's barbecue. You're eating competition barbecue. It's different. And be prepared. This is what you're going to be looking out for. And then maybe we all have a better shot. But moving boxes that didn't score, that didn't beat another box into the second round just because we feel bad and don't want to have them go home and complain that they were on a table of death. It's just silly. It doesn't work.
Well, and again, if you want to do the table of death for KCBS or CBA, because you get on a table of death for CBA as well, but at least they drop the lowest score, right? But in IBCA, if you're going to do a final round, I just and again, you know, the thing. Here's the thing: we're talking about IBCA. I love IBCA because, man, you get feedback, instant feedback. You go there and you cook and you go, hey, it wasn't good, right? Like, you know, it's amazing. So, I mean, I don't want to pick on IBCA because I love every cooking organization in the state of Texas. Like, again, we have 300 plus sanctioned cook-offs a year. And, hey, when you sign up for a cook, you realize what you're paying for. You know what sanctioning body you're going to cook for. If you don't like it, I'm going to call on Phil to finish the statement. Go ahead, Phil.
Go ahead, Phil.
Sorry, I'm going to get off here in just a second. I'm just going to leave with this. Here's my thoughts. Man, I don't know how to fix it, but, just accept it. There's bad tables. Isn't really the answer because the cooks are going to go, I'm not going to go cook those events if that's the way it's going to be. It's a lot of money, and I don't feel like I'm getting a fair shake. So here's the point that I've got it for like real data. Man, so this cook-off was Orange Grove, 67 teams. Here's the top 10 chicken. Gerald Johnson won with just this past weekend. He won chicken with a 196.4. 10th place was Blake Schindel with a 171.4. So Blake was 24 points behind, and he was just 10th. We're not talking about 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, all the way down to 67. So to me, I don't know how to fix it, but I think the spread is too much. Man, make that spread go down, whether it's single round or it's maybe not 5 to 10. Let's just go, 6 to 10, 7 to 10. I don't know. Almost all KCBS contests are scored and decided by two numbers, an 8 and a 9. Whoever gets the most 9s. 7 hardly ever comes into play for a lot of cooks. It does, but they can, I think, go all the way down to 1. I know 2. Man, you never see those scores. So it don't take a whole lot of numbers to sort it. It happens all the time. But if you give them all the numbers, man, they're going to use the whole keyboard. And once you start bringing 5s into play, man, then you get big spreads. And man, you can't tell me that, somebody's meat is 30 or 40 points better than somebody else's, just because, man, you just got to accept that. Man, I don't buy it. So that's just me. And I'm not knocking it, man. Hey, look, I cooked a lot of IBCA, a lot. And since the scoring changed, man, my stats are upside down. Man, I've cooked 10 of them. I'm only top 10, 3 of them, a 9th, a 10th, and 1 GC. So cooks are going to gravitate to where they do best, right? And you got cooks cooking IBCA because it's their best chance to win. So it ain't all bad. It's just depending on where you're sitting and what the perspective is.
I agree. It's harder to beat 10 judges than to beat 6 judges. So, and then actually 5 because you dropped a low score. So it's a harder. To me, it's a harder cook-off to win ever as IBCA. I think it's the hardest there is because you're going 2 rounds. But
I agree with that.
And
they're hard to win.
I mean, if KCBS goes all the way down to 2s, right? But you never see them. What does that mean? It means their judges are educated, right?
No, they do. They train the judges, right? They train the judges.
If they have 2s, then why does it matter if we have 5s? Like I don't. Right, then we just need to be better at telling our judges what the hell a 5 actually is, right, and what a 6 is, and what a 7 is.
Yes.
But just giving them the opportunity to only score 7 to 10 or 7 to 9. I mean, goddamn, everybody. I mean, then you're just flipping coins to see who won at the end of it. Everybody's tied.
Well, man, I'm not certain, but on those numbers, it's 5 to 10, right, Butter?
Ours is 5 to 10. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So do they pick 5 to 10, or do those mean something? Do they have a scale of saying what those numbers mean, or no?
Yeah. At the table, everybody has a card that says 5 is poor, right, and it goes all the way up.
Man, maybe I don't know. I don't know the back end. I don't pretend to know the back end. Maybe it's
I honestly like
on that scorecard of going, hey, people, these guys are good. So you're probably not going to see any pours, but if you do, you can use. Maybe it's something like that. I'm not sure.
It's hard. I mean. When CBA decided to go to words, right, and then have the multiplier behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
I think judges do better with words, good, better, best, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's just for some reason, I mean, you get judges that get crisscross and think, oh, it's 5 stars, so I'm gonna give it a 5, right?
Yeah.
Like, even though there's a 10 sitting there. Like,
man, you give them a 5 through 10, and man, 7, 7, 7. Man, that was good. That was a great box. And you're going, you just tank my ass. They don't even know it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all you can do is really better educate them. If we tighten up the scores between and go to 7 and 10, I mean, whatever the members want, that's what we're going to do. But I just don't see. I mean, you're just going to have a tie after tie.
Yeah.
After tie.
Well, I think CBA's done a good job of putting words because. What's a 7? What's an 8? What's a 9? What's a 10?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? I mean, I don't know. You got somebody coming in for the first time, they may not know. But if it says poor, if it says fair, if it says good, if it says excellent, man, I can judge that. This is excellent. Man, I want to eat this all day long. Yeah, if it's good, man, I could definitely take a couple more bites. It's fair. I mean, I don't want it again, but it was all right. I think that helps the judge tremendously. And that may help also. I've said it before. I think the less numbers, it keeps more parity amongst the table. When you have more numbers, you give bigger discrepancies that can be in between the tables. So I think the tighter score is much better. Personally, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I've cooked a couple CBAs. Man, I've done great at CBAs. And it's one round judging, but I think a lot of it is the tables are probably a little bit more equal. Fred's on here. I don't know what percentage of depth tables you have in CBA compared to IBC. I mean, you say an IBC, it's not picking on us, it's cumulative. It's the only ones that we know that are cumulative on those two organizations. So I don't know. And maybe it's because they use words and forward numbers instead of five. Was it 5, 6, 7, 8? Is it 5?
Well, yeah, it's 5 through 10. Yeah, 5, 6, and 7, I think some people are just adverse to giving a 10. Right? They think nothing's perfect.
Right.
And I agree.
I bet if we went all the way back when IBC and KCBS were first started, and KCBS chose a 9, that's probably why they chose a 9, because there's no such thing as perfect barbecue.
Yeah, you don't see too many 10s in the Olympics. So there's not too many 10s.
It's hard to get it.
Yeah. It's hard to get it.
Yeah,
Phil, you got anything else, brother? I know you got to go, so we'll give you a last word. I know you got to hop off here in a minute.
Yeah, man, I'll push it. I'll be Superman in the phone booth here, going on to the next one here in a few minutes.
Okay, okay.
Man, I'm loving this. I love discussing it, and man, I don't think it's so far from like a bash session. It's just making barbecue better, right? I mean, IBCA seems to have great growth in the past year, huh, Butter? Hit numbers are up, and you got good events, so you got a lot of good things going for you guys, right? I think just hearing from the cooks, they want to see a few things improved, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've had plenty of rule change submittals, we in our board meetings. So just for process, that's what. So the members can submit rule change submissions, and then the board votes on them, right? And then the membership is allowed to vote on bylaw changes at our annual meeting. So yeah, I mean, we encourage it. Send in, get with your director and send in rule changes. Every time we have a meeting, we'll go through them. And we table some to the next meeting just so we can have better discussion.
Right.
And there's a lot where, I don't want to poll the membership on every single rule change, but some of these rules kind of change the identity of us, right? And I don't want to be the president that completely changed the way IBCA's, outlook and identity is. So I want to make sure it's truly what the members want. I mean, obviously we could just be all cocky and say, well, the membership voted for us, so that, or elected us. So that's, whatever we do is what they want, but that's not true. I mean, hell, I ran unopposed. So, it wasn't a hard race. So
did you win 100% of the vote though? Did you run 100%?
Yeah.
Still got 96% of the vote.
Yeah, 100%.
And just so the viewers know, May 7th, the board is voting for all these topics being talked about right now.
That's right.
So this is really a hot topic for IBCA, and the viewers and the members need to know that May 7th, we're voting for all these topics right here. So please reach out to IBCA, email your directors, call your directors, let everybody know. Send the email. Just give us your opinion. We need to know what the cookers want, because May 7th again is the day that we're going to vote for this before the new cooking season starts.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the tip assignment, the equal number of trays on each box. 6 judges drop a low score, and I don't know about the actual scoring, but was that for topic, or do you know if that was up for debate or for judging? The 1 through 5, 10 through 10. Or 5 through 10, 1 through 5.
We haven't seen that rule. I mean, we've
knocked
that down a few times. I remember when I was vice president, they were trying to go to, somebody asked to go tighten it up a little further than what was it? It was like when I think Fred and Roddy and all them were on the board. I think it was like 1 to 10, and then we brought it to 5. And then when I was VP, they wanted it to be like 7 to 10 or something. So they shot that down, but they can definitely resubmit that as a rule change. It just takes some programming on the back end, and membership dollars is what it takes. Every time I've I got to call my computer programmer. He's not cheap. So it just is what it is. And we want to have the best scoring system out there that makes the cooks feel confident when they come to us. And that makes them happy. And I want them to feel like we take their opinion seriously and what they want. And obviously, someone even said it. You can't please them all. No, there's no way. There's people that still like the old school IBCA, which is kind of what Outlaw's doing and Lone Star's doing. Outlaw's a little bit different than Lone Star, obviously, but old IBCA is exactly what Lone Star was, right? That old school style. And we're not ever going to go back to that, obviously. But so you can't please everybody, but we try to please the mass. And get
no, hold on. So let me ask you a question. So
real quick, James. Sorry.
Yeah,
man, I'm going to hop out of here, guys. My time's up.
Hey, good to see you, Phil.
Good to see
Love
all
you,
you
Phil.
guys.
Love to
enjoy
be with you.
Hope we can do it again soon.
Thank you,
Yeah,
brother.
buddy.
I appreciate it.
See
Phil.
y'all.
Thank you,
Hey,
brother.
man.
No. So I know you just said, hey, you'll never go back to Outlaw, right? Like,
No, we'll never go back to that old school pencil and paper style. No.
Oh, no.
well, okay. Well, here's the thing. Like, in Outlaw, because here's the thing. IBCA should just go to sing around judging, right? Because in all honesty, whatever you get in your first round is going to kind of depend on what you get in the second round, right? Do you agree with that?
I mean, I'm on board. I absolutely hate 2-round systems.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. So go,
but I don't make that decision.
But that's the reason I said that, because I know you do. I know you want to go sing around judging. So IBCA was created in the 80s by a bunch of cooks that said, hey, we want it to be tournament style with the best barbecue advances. And then you're decided by every brisket that goes on a table gets decided, right? So you taste the brisket out of the best from each table. But I know you want to go sing around judging, right? So drop the lowest score, have it sing around judging,
And
do what
tighten
you
up
want to
the
do.
score.
But no, but hold on. But don't sit there and say, hey, because here's the thing. We're all in this together. All of us, CBA, IBCA, Lone Star, we're growing barbecue in Texas. And if you look at all the states around, but if you look at all the states around us, they're not growing. Like, barbecue is dying. And the reason that I want to say that, because here's the thing. I'm not associated with Outlaw. I'm not a board member. I cook IBCA. I've GC'd an IBCA event, a CBA event, a Lone Star event, and an Outlaw event. But at the end of the day, we can't sit there and say, hey, we're never going back to that. We're not going to do that. Like, you're putting that down. And
I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying it's
you kind of did, though.
But it's not.
It's
we're not going back to that style of scoring. And the Outlaw founders wanted that style, right? They wanted that legacy style IBCA scoring system, which is why they started Outlaw. And our members voted for cumulative. So, and we have a lot of money tied into a cumulative system, and that's really what the current atmosphere and environment of competition barbecue is. I mean, all across the country, every scoring system is cumulative, except for
but you say across. Yeah, but you say across the country, you're talking about KCBS is across the country. And
I'm talking about Georgia barbecue. I'm talking about Florida barbecue. I'm talking about the Pacific Northwest barbecue, the Great Lakes, St. Louis barbecue. They're all cumulative, except for what we were doing in Texas. And when Fred and Roddy were on the board of IBCA and said, hey, we want to do this cumulative system, it was one of the best decisions, in my opinion, we had, because I was in Facebook screaming and everywhere I could. Cumulative. We need cumulative, and so we got it, and then we stuck with 2 rounds, and that's what we got. And I remember when I started CBA, I was screaming at him, "Don't go 2 rounds, don't go 2 rounds," and he started with 2 rounds. And I was like, "No!" And then like 3 cook-offs in, they switched, and I was like, "Finally, we have a single round system in Texas, we have a 2-round system cumulative in Texas, and then we have all the other styles that have always been there." So I'm not knocking it. I'm saying our members voted for one thing, and it's not, and it's to move into the future and be progressive. So that's what we're going to do.
Right.
Well, and again, I think that, like, I love cumulative scoring, right? Like, we went to Alvin, Texas, 214 teams. We had an 8th place chicken call. We're like, oh man, we're done. We ended up 5th overall. So I love cumulative scoring, and I think that even Outlaw and Lone Star, I wish they would say, hey, if you I wish they would do some type of cumulative scoring. So I appreciate that IBCA has done that. I was always for that. My thing was the second round.
Mhm.
Like, if you're gonna do the second round, again, Butter, you said it. Like, go single round, drop the lowest score.
It's hard to justify the bonus points and to make it work. I really pulled like tasked the board when I was vice president. I was like, find a way to do away with the bonus points, but still keep the second round cumulative. And nobody could do it. Even the smartest of the engineers on the board, like you have to give them something for going to the second round. And so we cut it down. It was 15 points. We cut it down to 10 points just to try to tighten the gap between, the top 10 overall and 11th and 12th place.
Right.
Yeah. Because I don't believe you should ever, I don't believe in a system where, two things I don't believe: that first place brisket only walk can win you a GC. I think that's
agree.
absolutely think it's stupid. And then the other one is that you have to make final tables to win top 10 overall. I just, give me 3 11ths in an IBCA cook-off, and I'm a happy camper. I'm in the top 10.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to throw some comments out there because we got a lot of people that's been commenting. I've been throwing them up. So Les agrees. I agree with education, but I also know it's hard to be at times to find judges too. Okay, I think that's one. Here's one. Now we're talking changing judges' mindset about what they're actually scoring the barbecue. I think that's important. Brian comes right behind and says, maybe if a judge gives a low score, ask them why. Maybe they're confused, and sometimes they are. Now, I'm going to say something that BCA does. In BCA, the score in the opening round is 2-10 in the first round of judging. All right? If you score a 2, you have got to raise your hand. Andy is going to come over there, and he's going to ask you why you're doing it, and you have to spit the food out.
Damn.
You have to spit the food out. You have to raise your hand, spit the food out, and you have to write a comment card. Why you giving this a 2? You also have to do it if you have a 3 or a 4. So if you score a 2, 3, or 4, 2, you have to spit it out. 3 and 4, you got to write a comment card why you're doing that. That holds the judge accountable. And I think more organizations need to hold judges accountable, just like what Brian said here. Maybe they don't know what the hell they're judging. Mm-hmm. And then if you go into the final round, they've changed the score from 6-10. And same thing. If you score a 6, you've got to raise your hand, write a comment card of why you gave a score of a 6 in a freaking final round, which these are supposed to be the best food there is. I think there could be a lot of stuff to help the judges. Andy has told me that he's been at events before that they just don't hardly tell him anything. Oh, here it is, go judge, blah, blah, blah. Are we really educating the judges of what this is? That may be a lot of the problem right there. They rush them in. I know everybody's trying to get them out. I've heard Andy, I was there this weekend, and I could hear him on the loudspeaker. He gave them a 10-minute spiel of what the heck was fixing to happen, what was coming across the table, and everything else before everything even started. I think that is really good because it makes the judges going to be held accountable, and are they going to really just start lowballing a bunch of food because they may not know. I think the 7-10, Butter, I'm with you. I think single round would help IBCA because I think the bonus points, and we've had people already posting it, the bonus points may not work. Phil's done said there was 21, 24 points between first and 10th. Man, you can't hardly make that up. On top of that, if you tightened up the scores, maybe you won't have quite the biggest spread across all the tables. Yes, you may have still the ones that score 9 and 10, and this one may score 7 and 8s. But at least the spread's not getting so far apart. I may not go to the final in that, but maybe at least still puts me in the hunt, maybe for a top 10 call overall. What you say, brother?
So, fun fact about IBCA is I bet half of our cook-offs last year were single round. So the cooks that say IBCA should never go single round, you probably cooked in a bunch of single round judging events. So anything 20 teams and less is single round. It takes 21 teams to go to a second round system. So you've been enjoying the fruits of a single round system throughout the year, and you just didn't realize it or didn't want to come to grips with it, I guess. But we do it. Our system has the ability to do it because we do it all the time.
Right. Yeah, Josh said, I tell my judges that a 5 means you want to throw it in the trash and 10 means you want to
That's
thank
right.
God for the food
Yeah,
because
he
it's the best
does.
you've ever
Uh,
had.
Yeah, you
Yeah, he does.
have to educate them. I mean, it's not a track meet; it's more of a truck show, right? Like you're got to educate the judges on what they're looking at first and foremost,
Yeah.
and what they're about to experience and taste and why it tastes like. I mean, it takes a little bit of work, and until we can have a certified registered judging program in place in Texas where all these judges can get excited about going around and judging cook-offs, and we get one or two experienced judges per table, then we're just going to see scores like this. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yep.
There's nothing that any board can do about it.
Right. Carlos, I'm going to ask you, brother. You've been sitting here patiently for the last 10 minutes. So what's your thoughts? I mean, you've been in the chat. You've heard it before we brought you in. What's your thoughts on this after you've heard everything?
First, thanks for having me. Second, Dennis, I applaud you for doing what you're doing, man. I know it's not easy, man. It's hard, and all the presidents from all of the organizations, what they do, I thank them. All the head judges, man. It's hard, what they do, and it's behind the scenes stuff that they do. What I would say is, and I read it in the comments with somebody else said it before, is I take my money where I'm comfortable cooking, and I take my money for the cause of the cook-off.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the things that a lot of people tend to forget what it's for. It's for the cause. I don't care what it is. Like James said, I've cooked them all here in Texas, and I've GC'd them all here in Texas. But it's truly for the cause, whatever the organization is doing it for. Because most of the time, yes, I want to win them all. I would love to win them all. However, Danny Dietz, that's for the kids. All the ones cooking for the cure. That is my mindset on cooking, and that's what I love, man. Yeah, everybody here brought great points. James, Dennis, you, Mike. We go out there and I think a lot of the cooks are not realizing the purpose of the cook and why we're going out there for. And I wish that mindset would change just a little bit. Yes, it's frustrating. I have personally been a victim of, table B not advancing to, to the next round. I fussed. I brought it up to the board members of IBCA, and they tried to fix it, and they did fix it. They were like, "Hey, there is something wrong with the system." They adjusted, and they moved on. And that's one thing I would say that I have noticed with all the sanctioning bodies is when there's a problem, they would do everything they could possibly do to fix what that issue is, man. And I've seen it, on social media. I've seen it behind the scenes and word of mouth, so that's why I applaud you, Dennis, because it is not an easy task for what you do, man, and with nobody, and that is, and for Mike, for having all of us different cooks here from different sanctioning bodies to do what we do. It is what it is. I say that all the time. I mean, trust me, I love winning. I mean, you see me, I throw my hat. We all want to win, and I see a lot of the issues once we start, nitpicking. Like, okay, come on, let's stop this. It's in our nature to do it. What team is better, AFC or NFC? That's what we're doing here. Yeah. Just pick what you want, enjoy, go out and cook, and congratulate your team, your buddies and your friends.
Exactly.
So Randy brought up a good question. Why not ask the judges to provide feedback on scoring and see if it's confusing or not? I don't know if that's ever been done. Butter, do you know if that's ever been done?
You don't mean like comments, right? You mean like actually ask them at the end, how was your experience, like a survey?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea just to say, hey, what, if you can keep them around to do it, it's not a bad idea. I mean, any kind of feedback you can get as an organization, I think, is always good. Right. And you have to weigh the good versus the bad. But I saw Fred's comment on here with talking about judges' comments, right? Because people People want comment cards till they get them, then they don't.
Oh
really
yeah, like ouch, you know.
100%. You never.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because all you do is stew and art, and then you get too salty and bland on the same comment
On the
card.
same card.
So,
Right.
I don't even pay any attention
What-
to comments when I get them.
Yeah.
So I don't see that as being a productive use of assets for anybody to add comments.
One thing I would say for the cooks is go out there and judge.
Mm-hmm.
You are beating up judges, and you haven't judged yet.
Yeah.
Once you start judging, you will realize, like I've judged a few of the cook-offs in IBCA and CBA, and man, some of those food they nasty. Your food is not good. You know, I've gave you 8s and I gave you 7s, and I spit the food out. I didn't swallow. They tell you don't swallow don't spit it out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am not.
You don't do the
This is
old.
nasty.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I grab the napkin and spit it out. Man, you need to judge, and you need to be truthful with yourself. There's been cook-offs that I cooked, right? And I was like, man, if I finish this place, I will be happy. And I finished that place. I deserve to where I finish. And, you know, we need to go out there and just be truthful with yourself.
Yeah, you got to be honest to yourself first. You know when you turn in crap. You know,
Yep.
everybody knows.
Yeah, but I also know I turn in great food and never advance off my table with first place.
Yeah, you're right about that too.
And so there's a problem when you turn in good food and you have first place on your table and you don't make it to round 2. There's a problem.
Well, it just means there were that many better scores.
No, yeah, you're right. No, it's not right, James.
If their
can you
score
bring
is
up
higher
James?
than you, then their brisket was better than yours. It's pretty simple.
No,
Simple
if
math.
my brisket was better on table 3, but it wasn't on table 1 and 2. I didn't have a chance to run that heat, so my brisket should advance to the final table because I was number 1 brisket on table 3, not take them off from table 1 and table 2. I won my table. I should advance.
But you're not always taking them all from 1 or 2 tables. You're taking the top 15 from every table.
Well, that's what we're going to vote for.
15 scores, and sometimes they only come off 2 tables.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's not right. It's not right.
Well,
that's participation trophies for everyone. Everybody gets
So
a yellow ribbon.
I'm going to say something about. Hold on 1 second, James. So with Lee Hickle, with what you're saying is right. Man, I totally agree with you, but I see a lot of people who complain, "Oh, I was in the table of death," but they like 3rd, 4th, and 5th on that table. You know, it's like
and Carlos, here's the thing: at the end of the day, that we all do this, right? I mean, that's what we go out and we cook barbecue. I mean, first of all, we should be blessed for that, right? And Carlos,
Amen.
I'm sorry. I missed your church, but I tried to walk over there, and by the time I got over there, my rain boots were soaked.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
No problem. Sir.
But here's the thing. Like, this is for the cooks. And Dennis, for you being president of that association, I appreciate it. Like Fred, Justin, and I can't remember the guy's name, Larry, for Lone Star. I mean, y'all hear all the crap, but here's the good thing. Eric and I had a great experience in IBCA. We've done really well in IBCA. Again, we've GC'd IBCA, CBA, Lone Star, and Outlaw. And I'll cook any organization. And what Carlos said earlier, if I feel like that's a great cause, I'm going to go cook it. I think we get too hung up on the negatives, right? On everything. So, Mike, when you said, "Hey, tell me some of the positives and negative, tell me the good and the bad from each organization," so I'm going to do that. I love the fact that IBCA gives you feedback, right? I mean, that's as a new cook to have feedback or where you want to be. CBA, I love the feedback and the music. I mean, Carlos, I've never seen Chris Hatcher ever smile walking up to GC, and he's walking up there playing a song, right? So that was kind of cool to me. I've seen other CBA events where everybody's dancing. Lone Star, I love the fact that that's old school Texas barbecue. right? Like that's it's the same amount of table or same amount of people go off every table. And then Outlaw, I love the fact that they did the bonus, the point system where they break it down by quarter. And I think Justin doing that to where, hey, if you can't cook and if you have kids in sports, which we have kids in theater, it's really hard for us to do stuff in certain times of year. I think that I would love, and this is my goal, I would love for like Dennis and Fred and Justin and I know it used to be Brian Parker, but all y'all to maybe have a monthly meeting to where y'all get together and talk about what y'all can do together to advance Texas barbecue. Because again, Dennis Brotherworth told me earlier, we have 300 plus cooks. Like it's not 250. We have more cooks in Texas than any other sanctioning body across the U.S. if you take the Kansas out. So I'm proposing, like we talk about all the things we don't like, and hey, we're doing this. Man, let's come together. Let's work it as a Texas sanctioning body to where everybody, you can go cook. Like Carlos said, you know, you're going to go spend your money where you do better at, right? So let's all come together and say, hey, Dennis, Justin, Fred, all of y'all come together. At the end of the day, all we want to do is grow the sport of barbecue. I think all of us can agree with that. I love cooking IBCA. I love cooking Outlaw. I love cooking CBA. I love cooking Lone Star. As long as we do that as fellow cooks and understand that, hey, when you sign up for a cook, that's the rules you're cooking for, right? At the end of the day, that's the rules you're cooking for. If you don't like it, go cook another organization. So I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna get it. And Mike, you and I talked about this. I love the fact that all the sanctioning bodies we have in Texas, and you can go cook in different ones. There's things that you want to fix, but I think that we're almost focusing too much on the negatives of Texas barbecue, and there's so much positives. Like Dennis has done a hell of a job in IBCA. Justin's done a hell of a job of Outlaw. Fred created CBA, the music, everything, the sing around judging. I love that. There's so much more positives, and I think that I'm looking at it, I'm getting texts from people going, man, you are negative on this or negative on that. I want everybody to understand. I love the fact that I can cook 52 weeks a year in the state of Texas, and we have 4 great sanctioning bodies. That's all I want to say. And I will say this. I don't like KCBS because I've never finished in the top 10. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole thing. I mean, this whole deal was our likes and dislikes of everything. It's nothing to bash anything. I think all the organizations are good. There's some things I like about every one. There's some things I don't like about all of them. So that's just part
Right.
of it. It's just, is there something that could be tweaked on each one? I think Roddy made a good comment just a minute ago. There's none of them that's perfect. I mean, no scoring. Yes, Roddy. There's no scoring system that's flawless. Any one of us knows that we can do our best in fooling ourselves. We have 4 different sanctioning scoring systems in Texas, and each one is unique in its own right. That's a good thing. We have choices. I'm cooking an IBCA next week and have zero reservation about doing it. I know the system, and I know it'll get the same shake as everyone else does. I mean, I think that's the thing. It's just, what is it that we think could improve something? Not necessarily that it's going to change anything. It's just what we think could improve. Could there be a tweak here? There could be a tweak there. Lee brought up the chip draw. I think that's the whole thing. We all agreed to that, right? We may not agree on every damn thing that we've talked about tonight, but we all agreed on that. Well, that's one thing. What about seat assignment? I mean, that's the whole reason I wanted to kind of bring this up and talk about this. There's got to be some common denominator that we can all kind of agree that if we're not doing it, maybe it would be a good idea to do. Are we going to agree on all the stuff? Well, obviously not, because you got different organizations. And just like Carlos said, if you don't like it, go cook somewhere else. So I think that's the biggest thing. Is there little tweaks that we could make? Maybe. Could we drop low score? I don't know, Butter. Do you think maybe dropping low score would help?
Well, you'd have to add an extra judge per table, right? Because you can't have.
Yeah, well, you got to.
We only have 5 judges, so if we drop the lowest score, you'd only have 4 scores. You'd have a shit
But
ton of topics.
you have to add a judge. So do you think maybe adding?
We have a hard enough time getting judge. We already talked about that, right? We have a hard enough time getting judges now. Now you're adding an extra judge per table.
So if you got 3 tables, that's 3 judges.
Yeah.
And if you got 4 and you go to a final round,
yeah,
I mean,
per round, by the way,
yeah.
per category.
Yeah.
So now you need 10 to 12 judges extra. So it becomes a struggle. I'm all for it. I really am, to be honest with you. I'm also for a single round, as I've always said. And I've always said this from day one. And I honestly think that proposal to pull the top boxes from every table has a lesser shot of being passed than getting member approval, right? Than going to single round. I think. But even if, and again, let's be honest with ourselves. Even if you go to single round, it's still the top 10 boxes, the top scorers, 1 to 50, right? So you're still gonna have an angel table and a table of death, right? Even though it's single round, it is what it is. You're gonna have one table that's got 5 bad scores on it. I mean, it just sometimes they just suck. Sometimes the judges suck.
Yeah, honestly, we have contemplated forcing taste judges to write comments when they score low, but we feel it will change the way judge scores just because they don't want to write a comment. So instead of writing a comment, they are just going to score higher when maybe the food doesn't deserve it. Okay. Hey, Fred, I've got a question for you, and probably you or Roddy could answer it. Do y'all, I mean, with CBA, it's not a number that the judge sees. It's poor, it's fair, it's good, it's excellent, and there's only 4. Do you have a lot of angel tables and deaf tables, or do you see that if you have 3 or 4 tables, say 3, I doubt you'll have too many that are 4 unless you got big competitions. Let's just say your average is 3 tables. Are you pretty balanced on those 3 tables, or do you still get a lot of tables that you may have the top 10 boxes come off of 2? I'm just wondering because I don't know. I mean, I'm throwing it out there because what would be? I know y'all drop low score. I know you have a 4-point system. It's words. So does that help tighten up your scores? I'm just wondering. I've cooked a couple CBAs and done really well with them. So
I think it definitely tightened up the scores. I mean, if you just go back to, oh God, when did they do that? When did they go to 7s? Was it 22? I think. If you go back before that, how many perfect scores did you see?
Right.
And now how many do you see on a weekly basis? Yeah. So it definitely tightened the scores up for sure.
Common scoring system. Yeah. Nobody's going to have the same scoring system. So, I think it needs to be a little bit
if we all had the same scoring system,
I think you all have to have a little bit different. And these are all good discussions. That was the whole purpose of this. And we've had a lot of good comments. I'm trying to at least, I can't read every single one of them, but I'm trying to at least put them up on the board. Everybody's reading them and people are reading them as well. So, let's see. Agree with Carlos. It works. Yep. Sergio, let's see. It's hard.
Dennis, I have an off the wall question for you. I was asked today by a promoter, how do we judge Bloody Mary in the judging area? Do you know? It's a spoon, straw. How's that done? I don't know.
I believe it's a straw. If I haven't judged a drink category in a while, but it used to be a straw. Yeah, they stick straw in.
Okay.
Put your finger over it and pull it out and drink it. Yeah.
Okay. I'll let them know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want nobody's backwash.
You do have it's an ancillary, right? So they're not judged on IBCA rules. So they can actually do open garnish for them, which is what we're doing at the annual meeting in the showdown.
Right.
So you can do open garnish ancillaries.
Then
you give every judge, you have cups, right? So.
Right.
So I've heard a couple of other cooks and judges while I judged, something is, why can't we take the food out of the tray? Why do we have to use a fork and knife?
Solid question. The only we can't because we're 2-round, but I don't understand why the single round system can't.
Yeah, so that's why I've heard it, and it's
man, I hate it. I freaking hate it
because to me, when I seen it and I judged it, and I'm just gonna say this: when I did a class this weekend, and I gave the people in the class to use a fork and knife, they did. It was the most awkwardest thing to see somebody trying to cut the meat, and they didn't get a good sized meat. They were just getting small pieces, so you can't really truly eat, what you're cooking. When we tasting our food, we tasting it, we biting it, we take a little piece. We're not getting that big piece that judge is tasting. So that's a change I would like to see.
So if IBCA went single round, right, and this was just the shooting off top of my head,
Mike, go back 2 comments, please.
You could still do a half chicken, and that be the only thing that gets judged with a knife and fork.
Correct. Yes.
Be pulled out of the box if you went single round, or you just do away with the half chicken altogether. But there are people that think Texas is half chicken, and that's fine if that's what you think.
Yeah, I love half chicken.
We give the judges a knife and fork for half chicken, and you allow them to pull the ribs and the brisket off in a single round system. Now we can't do it in a 2 round.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something I would like. I would like to see, and I've heard a lot of cooks, and judges, like I said, they all mention it. Oh, can we just take it out? I don't know. That's something I would like to see in the future. I don't care who does it, but at least one of the sanctioning bodies to change that way. I know it does cost more because now you got to get more plates and napkins and other stuff. So be honest, it's an extra charge the promoter incurs. An extra charge, So I mean,
we're not talking a ton of money. If we just did like a post or something, right? Or I don't. Lee, if you judge KCBS, I think it's like a sheet of paper, right? That they put the meat on.
Yeah, it's just a sheet of paper. They put it on there for each one of their boxes.
Like a sheet of butcher paper with
right. With the squares on it. James Cruz, yes, sir. That is exactly what I'm saying because I have fallen victim to this. So it doesn't really come to light until you fall victim. And James, you've been cooking longer than I have, right? So, but
he probably fell victim to it. He just didn't complain about it. He moved on. Lee's holding the grudge against that damn table of death, Judge.
So you're telling me I'm complaining?
No, you're holding a grudge.
I'm not. Oh yeah, I shouldn't. When you hit first on your table and you don't advance, that's not right. It's not right. You got to put some gas in it. It's not right.
Sometimes the best tasting turd is still a turd on a table of turds.
Oh, now you're crossing that line, Butters.
I just like to say what people don't want to hear. I mean, it is what it is.
And how many GCs do you have?
It doesn't matter. I've been cooking a lot longer than you have, Lee. So I can remember when you got in the game.
I was blessed. I was blessed for sure.
I have cooked a lot of sanctioning bodies over the years.
That happened at both IBC and CB can be addressed.
I've seen the good and bad. I've seen the ones that aren't even in existence anymore. I just, some make it, some don't. But I don't know.
I hear you.
Peace, everybody.
Thank you, Mike, for the discussion. I'm just steadily going through.
That was love, Dennis. Anyway, it wasn't ugly.
We had more communication. I think we definitely.
I was just trying to stay out of that gunfire. I've learned a long time ago. I grew up in the ghetto. When there's gunfire, I just stay away from it.
Yeah, that's it. Let's see what we
Hey,
got.
I believe that Dennis guns are bigger than the Coast Guards. I'm just saying. Have you seen Coast Guards?
Oh, don't start that.
So they got a spoon.
Hey, Carlos, I will say that, man, I'm super proud to be part of the pro staff team for BBQ Champs Academy. I will say that with you.
There you go.
Congratulations. Thank you. I was waiting for him to post it before.
Hey, Mike, I saw that comment from Philip. I forgot it. You just had up.
Yeah, okay. Let's see.
They tried that before. A long time ago, someone tried to do like an old school stick burner cook-off, right?
Oh, shit.
No one showed up to do it. No one wanted it.
Yeah.
It just... I mean, if you want to promote it and put it on, more power to you. It'd be great. I mean, you might have.
No, can you go back to that? I'm sorry, man. I'm old, so it's hard for me to read.
How about a cook-off without all the BS? Just straight up seasoning, no injection, no sauce.
So now you got to put somebody in every spot and monitor that they're not.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
It's like when people say, "Hey, if you can't cook a brisket with only SPG," and you're like going, "Okay, well." Really, like, if that's the only thing you're rolling with, and that's what you can roll with.
Yeah.
So here's the whole reason why, I mean, you may say I have a grudge, or I'm level headed or not hard headed, or whatever you want to call me for this discussion. I appreciate you guys coming on. There's no doubt. We all love each other every day.
Mm-hmm.
This is all just fun. But I'm here to represent my region, Region 3, and I've been to a lot of cook-offs where it seems like the cooks who either I associate with at these cook-offs or I walk around and talk to, it's what they're asking for. So have I been convinced that it may be a better way to do this? I'm advocating for them, right? I haven't had somebody come to me and said, hey, let's just keep it like this. I've had people come in and say, hey, can we make changes? So I'm the voice of where I am now, right? I was asked to be a regional director for Region 3, and I am. So I'm only speaking for the people who have come to me and told this to me. Have I been, say, swayed? Yeah, you know what? It makes sense to me, right? I love IBCA. I love everything about it. I don't mind 2 through 10, 5 through 10, 1 through 10. I like one round judging, but we don't have to go to that. We can make it work out. No matter how we do it, we're going to have table event and the angel tables. But I've been approached by a few dozen people in Region 3, Region 2, and other sanctioned bodies say, hey, how come you guys don't do this? So that's the whole reason behind this. This isn't just Lehickle saying, hey, here's what I want to do for IBCA. This is my agenda. It's not. This is what I'm hearing from my fellow peers, because nobody's come to me and said, hey, let's just keep it like it is. People come to me and said, hey, can we make changes? So this is why I'm here. So, man, I'm advocating for the peers that are coming to me and saying, hey, can we work on this? That's why I'm doing this. So it's not all one-sided, lopsided. I'm just putting it out there. Now the board has to vote yes or no. So it's my job to lobby it. That's my whole job.
And that's why I called Lee and asked him to be on the board, right? I mean, I knew Lee has his finger on the pulse of the other cookers, and he has a great relationship with other cookers, especially in his region and in other regions as well. And he's a doer, and he's been on the board, a monthly, and he's coming up with some ideas for us to try to make IBCA better. I've seen board members through my time on the board that never say a word in meetings, never bring anything up, and just kind of, do their thing. And everybody's different, but if I have an empty spot on the board and I get to appoint somebody, I want people like Lee on the board.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had some good discussion, and we've got a lot of feedback from our listeners, and that's what we wanted. What is the listeners like? What are their likes and dislikes? And we got a lot of comments that we can go back and look at. So there's some that don't like it. There's some that do. Let's see what it hurt to take the first on each table to the final and additional to the top scores, especially if there's no qualifiers on some of the tables. It's not good if we reflect. If it's not good, it will reflect in the final round. Yeah.
Well, okay. So if you did that, then you still have a lower score going to final table than someone with a higher score than that same box. Yeah. And how do you tell that cook that had the higher score his box wasn't worthy of going to final table?
Yeah.
Because we wanted to bring the best of each table.
Yeah.
And not the best scores. So
that's
the challenge.
There was one.
Y'all can make it work. Please send board at ibcabarbecue.org. Send all your comments to us if you can make it work. I love logic. I love facts, and anything you can lay out, we'll discuss in our meetings. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I know I had cooked one, and there was one time it was down in Midway, Texas. I think it was 26, 27 teams, and I had a 13th place brisket going into so I made they were taking 15. I had a 13th place brisket. Now we have advanced the top 15 boxes. This is the best of the best, right? And my score was 13th. I barely got in. In the final, I had a first place brisket, 4 points ahead of second. I stayed at 13.
Yeah.
Made me feel great, And even if the new bonus points had been in play, it wouldn't have advanced me. So, yeah. I don't know. I wasn't real happy with that, but it is what it is. Damn, man. I mean, this is the best of the damn best. And I was so far behind because I was on a table that scored pretty low than everybody else. I don't know. I was like 13, 14 points behind. But now we moved the best forward, the best of the best, and I'm number 1, 4 points ahead of number 2, and I stayed 13.
Yeah.
That kind of
because
stuff.
Number 2 was probably first or second going into the second
Yeah.
round, probably. Yeah. So they had a higher score. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how do we tighten that gap is the question. And that's what when Phil
talking
calls me,
about.
that's always his main concern is like, how do we tighten that gap?
Yeah.
And so I changed it to 10 points in the bonus round instead of 15. But I
love that.
I'd rather have seen it be like 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, like even tighter, because I really don't like the bonus points. We were left with them, and it's I don't know what to do with them. But you got to do something.
Yeah.
If you have a 2-round cumulative system, there's no other 2-round cumulative systems out there, so you got to do something.
Got to do something.
And it's on us to create something that's fair and equitable for everybody to enjoy.
Yep. Yeah, Kiki said, "I see that I need to talk more to the taste judges." That is, yeah,
taste judges would love it because most of them don't know what they're doing.
No, I think
I agree. I agree with what Dennis said that earlier. Like, hey, it's what the head judges tell the people that are coming off the street, right? Like, you kind of get what you sow, and it's like I think that. I watched Maria Henry, right? Like, and Eric and I love Maria and Chris, and the way she instructed the judges were amazing. Like, I thought it was one of the best speeches I've ever heard from a head judge. It's like, hey, 5 means that you would spit it out and throw it in the trash and never eat it again. And I think that part of it as a head judge is you setting that expectation for these people off the street. So. Maria Henry is man. Eric and I kind of watched it just because I wanted to know like what she said versus compared to the other head judges, and Maria did an amazing job, Dennis. Just to let you know, I love the speech that she gave and how to instruct the judges on how to judge, and I think that's part of what we should do at every organization is teach these head judges on what do you say to the people that are coming off the street on how to judge barbecue. And I think that defines and kind of sets the expectations. And I mean, I was blown away by what she told the judges. I mean, Maria did an amazing job.
Yeah.
She's one of the executive head judges for a reason. She's really good at what she does. And she comes across even keel. She doesn't get riled up. So definitely does a good job. She's a very strong asset for IBCA. I'm glad to have her.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. Are we getting beat up by a lot of judges that just don't know? I mean, could better. I mean, a lot of it could be eliminated just because they don't know. You got a group of people over here that just don't know than what these people over here know. So, I don't know. I mean, let's see what Roddy has to say. Clear the score. Just going into the second round, use the base score of the final point. Let's see. Let me read this. Clear the score going into the second round. Use the base score of final, 1 point above the next score that didn't make the final table. Then score the bonus off the score. That was.
So I was going to say, so let's just say 10, right? We take the top 10 to the final round, and you take 11th place, and say they have a 150. So that's what. Everybody in the final round has a 150, and then you get bonus points. But now you're giving people somebody else's score. I mean, it's still not. You're not cumulative anymore.
But you can still.
No longer cumulative. I mean, it's completely changing what your members voted on. So.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be cumulative if the lowest score, like he said, was fifth one? Okay, your example 150, final 1 point above the lowest score. You would just add. What if you took the final over there and you had we're going to score these 1 through 10, and that's your points.
Mhm.
So if you had 150, then first place is going to have no more than 160. Second place would have 159. Third place would have 158.
So going into after the first round, if I have a 175 and a 140 or 150 was 11th place, now I'm the most I can end up with is a 160, right? Because of bonus points, and I had a 175 to start off with. I just that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and again, I mean, Dennis, I know you want to go single round judging, right? But if you're going to go to the second round, why not have it all fresh? Because again, Eric and I cooked in Fort Worth. We loved it because we won a lot of money. But we were first in brisket after the first round, and then we were first after the second round. We got 10 points, right? So if you get 10 points in the second round, that means you finished first, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
And then ribs. Yeah, and then ribs, we finished second in the first round, and we finished first. Or in the first round, we finished second. In the second round, we got 10 points. So that means we finished first in the second round.
Yeah.
We ended up second overall. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do it, and you say, hey, if you're going to do the second round, which my thing is, if you don't want to do that, do first round, drop the lowest score, right? So that way you can't have the abnormal judge. But if you're going to do the second round, have it start over. And then, if you have 50 teams and you take 10 to final round, which I know that'll be more than 10, but you take 10 to final round, then 40 through first, if you're 40th, you get 40 points. And if you're 40th, you get 1. I mean, there's different ways you can do the scoring. But again, this is stuff that I sent to Leanne a long time ago. Like, hey, here's what I'd like to see, and she would basically say, no, that the board's already voted, and you've already said multiple times, hey, it's the way that the cooks voted. So if the cooks are voting that way, and that's the way they want to do it, then go. I mean,
yeah. We lost you, James. Your microphone's cutting out. I would like to address the way he said, and a couple other people have said it in the comments. So in our second round, we don't judge appearance, right? So now we have to add appearance back in. We only have 1/2 chicken. So you're going to get judged on appearance for a eaten up half chicken already, right? And ribs that are just bones by now and a couple of ribs left over in the final. So the appearance scores are shot. And then I think really some of y'all ought to look at the scores you get on the final round, because sometimes you score really shitty in the final round. And so if you started over and we start over and we say, all right, this is the final round, you may end up with a much lower score than coming out of second round than when you went in. So which score do I give you? The second round score or the first round score? Because that could possibly move 11th place up to first, because the second round judges are that much worse. Right. So they're all great ideas. They don't work.
No. Right. Well, that's the whole thing. That's why we talk about it. We got some ideas. Maybe it's something we can, I think we had a lot of great ideas, a lot of likes, a lot of dislikes, things that we're trying to move forward. I think that's what makes good barbecue, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why we have different organizations that we cook. All of them can't be the same. I think Butters had it right when he said that. They can't all be the same, because if they're all the same, then, it's no good. You want something, you got to have a little bit different. Okay, I like what they do. Like, you can find the ones that you like. I cook a lot of them. So
I'm more about like Carla said, like the venue, the town.
Yeah.
I know what towns like my food. I know what sections of Texas don't like my food. And I think to be a 5-tool player, right, to take a word from baseball, go do them all and strengthen your skills in all of them, because to me, to be like a true champion, I think that would be really exciting to know that you can dominate every single sanctioned body you go to. Or at least you don't even have to dominate, just to go do them and enjoy them and see what they're all about, But I think it would definitely strengthen your barbecue skills to try to hit each one's judge's taste buds and what they think is good barbecue.
Yep.
That definitely helped me cook better. What you just said, Dennis, like, I was strictly one, and then I was like, you know what, let me venture out to Outlaw, let me venture out to IEBCA, and that's when I went on that little hot streak of just trying them all. And I'm like, all right, let me go. You see me, I've driven way up to McKinney, way to Houston. Like, I don't stay in the San Antonio area. I try to just drive around and enjoy the cook and better myself, like you mentioned. So
Carlos, we'd appreciate it if you didn't come up to North Texas anymore.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, guys, I tell you what, I really appreciate it. All of our listeners that we've had tonight, thank y'all so much.
I'm gonna turn my camera around so you can see the moon.
Yeah, there
Of
we
course
go.
it does.
There you go.
I think it's been a great show. There's a lot of good topics. There's a lot of things that came out of it that can be all utilized as to make barbecue better in all the organizations. Who knows? I mean, that's the whole thing. That's when we get out, we talk about it. Butters, maybe let's try to add an extra judge and drop low score. Let's maybe try to do the chip draw. I think a lot of organizations would improve with just the chip draw, and make sure that we don't have people own
Efficiency.
Efficiency. I mean, dropping low score with the other organizations, I don't know how well that works because we don't ever see the scores. So, but I know that a CBA does. So I didn't know
KCBS as well.
KCBS does. So. I think there's little things. I mean, there's a lot of great things with every one of them. That's the great thing. And that's why we have so many of them that we cook. I cook almost every one of them. So, and that's the thing. We got a lot of them that we like. There's some that we like more than others. We're probably going to tend to go to more of those.
True.
So, but the whole cool thing about it is just we get to talk about it. Lee, thank you, man. I know it's controversy when you have to be a director and you got all the people coming to you and chewing on your butt. You've got to make their voices be heard, and you're the person that has to come out and do it. And most of the times they don't want to do it, because nobody likes to be thrown in that light. And Butter said, I mean, at least Lee Hickle's vocal, and he's doing things.
Mike, people, I'm sorry to cut you off there. I got to give another shout out to him and the rest of them. People are like in the comments saying how hard my job is, but it's really not. It's the director is the hardest job in all of barbecue. And I'm not sure what CBA calls them, reps, ambassadors, something like that. But same thing. I mean, that's who they're on the front lines, right? They're dealing with promoters that maybe it's their first cook-off they've ever promoted. They have no clue. We have them out of state right now that we're trying to tell how to do things and how to get their flyers right. And so it's not babysitting, right? But it's something, you're having to crawl, walk, run with them. And I don't have to deal with it. But my directors do, and so I give them mad props for it because it's not easy. And I've got Ryan Hernandez in Region 5, which is gigantic region, West Texas. He's all by himself. He's the only director I have up there. So if anybody listening lives in Region 5 and would like to be a director, just hit me up because I can appoint you tomorrow. So props to the guys for sure.
Really, a few comments, and I just want to let you guys know because this is what people appreciate, right? We're all good friends. We all have fun. We all cook together, right? But it's what our listeners think. So here's Walker. Great job, guys. This is a great way to get together for the sport. Sometimes things need to be talked about. I do agree that there are too many negatives. Great. That's what we talk about. Here's Steve Thatcher. One of the best shows I've watched. Emlyn, thank you. Great show tonight. Steve, productive. When was the last time all the group got together to help each other? Great stuff. There we go. So, Mike, I wish you had Andy on. Yeah, I mean, I can only have so many on, so I would have loved to have Andy on with BC. I would have loved to have Justin on with Outlaw. I mean, I would love to have Fred on, but I wanted it to not be just the organizers. I wanted to hear from some of the cooks as well. Lee Hickle, let's see. Lee, I'm glad you stepped up to fill my position. Keep up the great work. So thanks for all. Great show. Way to show gratitude. There we go. Man, I really appreciate all of our listeners. We had quite a few.
Hey, so that Tyler is a Team U.S. Air Force or Mission 0 hours. We were part of a live fire world champion. So he just got transferred to San Antonio.
That's awesome.
Hoorah. Hey, San Antonio, send them my way.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah, Region 5. Thanks, Perez. So, anyway, well, guys, I really appreciate it. I really thank y'all so much. I think it was just a good open topic, our likes or dislikes, what we like. I mean, most of us likes about an organization, and we all have little opinions of things that we think we should change. Man, really, you think about it, almost all of them we agreed on except for one. And overall. And that's pretty good. Out of 4 topics, we agreed on 4 of them, and one we didn't. That's not bad. So, and that's what it was about. It wasn't to bash anything. It was just to talk about it and getting everybody's opinion.
We don't take it as bashing for sure. Yeah. I know I don't. I may come across hard-headed a lot, but I enjoy it, and I enjoy hearing and reading what people are saying.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we can truly do what they want is
That's
to
it.
listen to
If
them.
we don't listen to what they're saying and you're getting feedback from them, it seems like from what I've read, and I know y'all may not have saw it, but I think a lot of people kind of agree that maybe some judging training may help a lot of this.
That's number one.
And it may.
Every organization, every
Yeah,
organization.
every organization. I think they all should be that way. So
Yeah.
great show, guys. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate everybody being on. I want to thank all of our listeners tonight. Thank you so much for being on our show. It's been a great night. I hope everybody will join us. Hey, we've got a special coming up next week. We're going to have Ray Barker on. We're fixing to get ready to release her classes this Sunday on BBQ Champs Academy Kids Q competition. This girl is amazing at what she does. So I hope you'll join us next Tuesday, 7
I love it.
o'clock. Butters has got his dog. There you go. I hope
That's
y'all had a
whiskey.
lot of fun. Thank y'all so much for being here. And as we always say, y'all go out there, have a lot of fun, and smoke